poor Democrats, and others, such as smart thinking Republicans interested in public affairs. My name is John Stewart, and I will be the host this evening. Tonight, I'm very pleased. My guest is Virginia Couch, who is the Democratic candidate for District 18 in the Tennessee House of Representatives. I have a particular interest in Virginia Couch because when she wins, we'll be one of her constituents, and so that's important. Virginia, you have a very impressive resume. I'm going to let you say a word or two about it, but folks, I'm telling you, this is a smart lady, and she's going to tell all of us about what she's planning to do in this campaign and what she will do when she's elected. And I really hope she will be, because she'll be a great, great representative for us. Virginia, fire away.
John, thank you so much. That's so kind of you to say. I appreciate the opportunity to revisit with the DTV and talk about my campaign to flip this House District 18 seat. I'll give you just a little bit about my background for those who don't know it. I've been practicing law for 20 years. I'm a business lawyer. Last 6 years, I've been working in-house at a local trust company, overseeing mostly their real estate department. And I also have taught the last 10 years over at the University of Tennessee Law School, doing a contract drafting class, which I consider my opportunity to give back to the university. And because they don't exactly pay their adjuncts a lot of money. And then also I run a small business. I have a doggy resort down in Lenoir City, and have run that for about 11 years now. So that's a little bit about me, but I'm running because I have been wanting a representative in District 18 who would fight for everyone in my district and really across the state to have three basic opportunities. Opportunity for a good public education, an opportunity to be healthy, and opportunities for economic growth that hopefully will lead to financial security. And you know, I don't consider these Democrat or Republican issues. I think everyone can support efforts to make it possible for everyone in District 18 and across the state to have these opportunities. They just seem so basic to me. And I think without those three opportunities, it's very hard to succeed.
Well, these are challenging times, to put it mildly. And education, the whole question is, you know, right now we are riveted about what should the schools be doing? Should they be reopening? Should they be opening in a hybrid mode, or should they be all virtual or all face-to-face? And these are tough decisions. And they really, if you're a family with kids in the school, they are vitally life-defining decisions. And we're not getting the kind of guidance that is needed to make wise choices. Somehow or another, what is a basic human issue has become politicized. And that's really very, very unfortunate, because it causes you not to look at the facts, but to follow what somebody else says you should do. And that's just not right when it comes to educating little kids. My daughter, Kara, teaches a kindergarten class outside of Indianapolis. And she's going through this very same issue right now with her class and with her school superintendent and with the principals and so forth. And it's a really crucial issue. What is your thought about that? But then you move on from there, assuming we can get through this pandemic, you move on from there to the more basic issues about what our kids are learning, how are they learning it, how are they doing. All of those ultimately get tied together.
Well, I certainly think it's so sad that from a federal level, and of course our governor missed the opportunity back in March to bring us all together and have a common goal of us all being safe and secure during this pandemic. And you're right, turned it into a political issue. And so now we have, every district's different. Some districts are doing virtual, some districts are doing hybrid, some are all back in class. And I don't know what the right answer is, but I know who I would be looking to for that answer, and that's our health people, the experts. You know, I'm not going to ask people, the common voter. It's hard for us to make that decision. We need guidance from people that understand the way pandemics work and how this disease spreads and how contagious, you know, and they need to be working with the school administrators to develop a good plan. I think the plans are right now, send the kids back to school. If they get sick, we'll close down.
Yeah,
That's not a really good plan.
I mean, just today, I helped my daughter work on a statement that all the kindergarten teachers in her school are sending to the superintendent, saying that the present situation is unsupportable, that it cannot work, and that a disaster is just a matter of time.
Right.
And so it's almost as though the leaders who are elected or appointed in these positions don't want to make the decision.
No, they absolutely
So
don't.
they don't. So they can't be held responsible. They don't make the decision.
And that's been our, in my opinion, that's been the situation the state of Tennessee has been in from the beginning, is our leader does not want to make a decision. He's like, no, I'm going to hand that out to the health departments. I'm not even going to make a statement about it.
Well,
you know, and
that philosophy has ended up with our country, the most scientifically advanced, wealthiest country in the world, dead last amongst nations in the Western world in controlling the virus.
Yeah.
That's a significant achievement, to be dead last with all the assets that we bear in this country.
And the bad thing is, I was talking to a neighbor last night when I was walking my dogs. I don't have children in school. I don't have children. I have puppy dogs. But I was talking to her about her children and them going back to school. And she's in great conflict because her children want to go back to school. They want to see their friends. They want to be involved in sports. She doesn't want them not to have that opportunity. She just needs the guidance on how to do that safely. You know, you get mixed messages. Are the children going to be safe? Are they going to recover from this disease? Are they going to spread it to their grandparents? You know, there's so many unanswered or inconsistent answers. And it's not fair to our parents to be trying to make decisions on whether to send their children back to school when they are not being given information.
Well, it's a real time of testing for all of us. And it's people like you who are willing to stand up and be counted, who are to be applauded. Running for public office is one of the most difficult things you can do. And anybody who hasn't done it probably doesn't know what I'm talking about. But anybody who is familiar with what running for public office is like knows that it is about one of the most demanding enterprises you can imagine. And then serving well, not just, ripping people off and looking at how do you line your own pockets, but truly serving the people is a full-time, double-time, triple-time job. So
I agree.
Congratulations for your willing to step forward. I'm serious about that. That takes real courage. And
well, I'm sure my campaign manager would tell you I went in it a little naively, thinking that I could manage a lot more personal and work projects and still run, a good campaign. It is hard. It is very hard. It's more time consuming than anybody could prepare you for.
Well, that's absolutely right. Well, now tell us about your thoughts about healthcare in Tennessee.
Well, for me, and this starts on a personal level, since 2014, I have been on Obamacare. I got the advantage and opportunity to buy a business and go part-time at my law office. But what that left me in was a situation where I did not have health insurance, except on the private market. What does the private market do? Your immediately pre-existing conditions apply. And so I couldn't afford just normal plans. And I was so thankful when the HCA passed, and I could get guaranteed coverage at reasonable prices without pre-existing conditions. And I think every Tennessean deserves that right. And right now, we have hundreds of thousands who can have good health care immediately if we would simply expand Medicaid. So the first answer is we've got to expand Medicaid to make sure that people who are having health issues can have good coverage. But I look beyond insurance, and that's the big thing I want to emphasize. I want people to be healthy. I don't want them to have health insurance because they're sick. I want them to be healthy. And there's things that we can do to address health issues. And it's things we can do to help children do better in school. Food insecurity, housing insecurity, domestic violence, untreated mental health issues. If we address those, we improve health. If we improve health, we don't need the expensive health insurance, or health insurance won't cost as much because the insurers aren't paying as much. You know, promoting, we're lucky. We have in our district, you know, the West Hills Greenway, we've got Victor Ashe Park, we've got some wonderful outdoor, you know, just assets. They're wonderful assets in our district. We need to invest in those, not just at a city level, a county level. The state needs to be making sure that all citizens have access to good outdoor activities. So I think it's about being healthy, not just about, you know, healthcare. Obviously, drug prices, disclosure on what it really costs to go to a doctor. One of the most frustrating things to me is when I call for a doctor's appointment and they can't tell me how much something will cost until I tell them what insurance I have, and then they have to check to see what it costs under that insurance. It's a convoluted system that we've developed.
Well, it is, and it's obviously going to be one of Joe Biden's principal goals when he's president to straighten it out and improve it. Nobody ever said that the Affordable Care Act was perfect. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't perfect when it passed, and the Republicans have spent, Trump especially, have spent the balance of their time trying to ruin it and wreck it and destroy it.
It was supposed to be a really good starting point for us.
Yeah, but it can be improved and fixed and made to work extremely well. And over time, I think it's very likely, in my estimation, you're going to be moving towards something that resembles Medicare for all in some respects. But it's going to be a uniquely United States way to do it. And you're going to have to build on a successful foundation, which is the Affordable Care Act, with a public option.
And I think for us, if you look at the way most people are insured in America, you know, you've got 50 or 60% of Americans that rely on employer-based health insurance. And so it locks you into a job. It makes it hard to grow into a different job. It makes you reliant on your employer. And I think if you switch to a system where you could afford to purchase insurance on a good market or have a Medicare for all type system, it improves their economic situation. It makes us more portable, you know.
I mean, one of the messages I really hope you bring during this campaign is that the Republicans in the legislature in Nashville are trying to repeal the Affordable Care Act in the middle of a pandemic.
Yes.
That has got to be the most insane, absolute nutball thing I've ever heard of. And, but they are, you know, they have their own ideological niche that they've got themselves locked into. But that's why people like you got to get elected. You got to go in there and tell them the truth and stand up to protect the Affordable Care Act, and especially to have Tennessee expand it so that Medicaid recipients are covered under the Affordable Care Act. That will provide insurance for about 300,000 people in the state. Mm-hmm.
And the nonsense of it is it's not economically beneficial for the state to not have these people insured. You know, they're not getting the health care they need. They're not being productive. They're going into emergency rooms. It doesn't even make sense. It doesn't make economic sense.
Plus, every year, we have, in a sense, given away 1.2, $1.4 billion of federal money that would come to Tennessee to pay for this coverage.
Exactly.
So I hope you really deliver the message to the folks here that healthcare is right at the top of the list. And along with education and along with a national strategy to control this ghastly
Pandemic.
virus that has
Mhm.
been allowed to spread and
Yeah.
capture everything that we're trying to do. What are some of the other things that you think are really important about economic growth? What are you going to do there?
For me, I think one of the biggest things is financial security I achieved through a good education and then having an opportunity to build a business. But one of the biggest obstacles I faced in that business was finding capital. And I think this is a huge obstacle if you're Black, brown, or female. And you know, we've got to figure out a way to improve access to capital for small businesses. I think they are the economic driver. They make us better. They make the whole state better. They make the whole United States better. They give opportunities to everyone. And so if we are not supporting our small businesses through improving access to capital, I think we're missing out. So access to capital, number one. I also think we've got to have an easier platform for businesses to operate. I have the benefit of having a law degree and advising small businesses for almost 10 years before I started my own business. But if you don't, you're going to have to get a lawyer, you're going to have to get a CPA. There's some very difficult issues to work through in running your own business: employment law, tax law, leasing a building. We make it very complicated. And I don't mean just Tennessee. We make it very complicated for small businesses to operate. And so I'd like to see that eased. Not totally to where you just run amok and operate as you want to, but good guidance on how to comply with the laws.
How long have you had your business?
Since January 2009. I bought it at the worst possible time, if you can remember what 2009 was like. So we had 3 years that were nail biters, but we did a good turn. I had unbelievable staff that have worked with me, some of them the whole time, every day since 2009. And we've had some great years, and then we have taken along with a lot of other businesses, a beating since March. We're a doggy boarding facility. If people aren't traveling, they don't need to board their dogs. We saw a 70% revenue drop in April and May. And we're slowly recovering, but we're still down, 17% in July. And it's very hard. And it's people like your son and Bob Freeman and Gloria Johnson who stepped up and helped me work through some unemployment issues for my employees. Representatives are so important. People forget that they're not out there just making law. They are every day on their phones helping their constituents. And I was running into trouble. I had 2 employees that just could not get their unemployment claims processed. And Gloria Johnson hooked me up with Bob Freeman and your son, and they all worked hard to make sure my employees finally got their unemployment through, because we had no choice.
Well, listen, let's we're getting towards the end of our half hour. It always goes by so quickly.
Yes.
In the old days, in the normal time, you'd be out knocking on doors,
Yes.
and, doing all that stuff. That's a real issue now, and it's very problematic. What are you planning to do to win this campaign?
Well, we're doing lots and lots of phone calls, what we're calling virtual door knocking. So phone calls. We're very active on social media. We have a lot of good followers on Facebook and Twitter, and that's growing every day. We're working on a digital media campaign, a print media, so we'll be doing mailers. literature drops. And we're looking at ways that we can do some safe door knocking, wearing our mask, making sure we're maintaining 6 to 10 foot distancing, maybe doing social gathering within a neighborhood that's outside, that doesn't require people standing, shoulder to shoulder. So my campaign manager is working great to get us out there and get our message out there. But it's certainly different than what we had planned for it at the beginning of March.
How are you doing on fundraising?
We're doing great. We are ahead further than any Democrat has been at this point in the race.
Wow.
We've raised around $55,000.
Really?
We're thrilled. We're hitting our goals every month. We've got another, aggressive goal because print media is very expensive. But no, we're thrilled with the support that we've been receiving, which tells me that District 8 wants to move. They want to change. Greg McKay in 2018, he lost by 747 votes. It was, 3%. People want change. So,
yeah, Doug McKay almost won.
Oh, he came so close. And
it was just like 200 votes, I think.
747 votes.
Is that what it was?
Mm-hmm.
Well, he would have been a great representative.
Yes.
No question.
I wouldn't be running right now if he had won.
Yeah, that's right.
I'd be out there working on his campaign for re-election.
Well, I think that one of the assets you've got is there's no question that you're from around these parts. Both, Nancy and I I was born in Brooklyn, New York, and so we've lived here now 40 years, but no one's ever going to mistake me for a Tennessean. You talk right, Virginia.
I grew up on a farm in southeast Kentucky, and I've lived in Knoxville since the mid '80s. My accent, I've traveled quite a bit, and I have it was back in the '90s. I had my stepdad's brother lived in California, and I went out to visit, and he introduced me to all of his friends just so they could hear my accent.
Well, listen, believe me, it is a distinct asset in what you're doing now.
I've never been ashamed of it. I've always been proud to be from southeast Kentucky and Knoxville.
Actually, you have a very nice accent.
Oh, thank you.
There are sort of nice Tennessee accents, and then there's some that aren't so nice. But you got one of the nice ones. So.
Well, thank you.
Has there been any talk about any sort of a virtual debate? Oh, jeez.
No, I haven't heard anything from his campaign. No talk of that yet.
Yeah. Well, I think it would be good if you could debate him.
I would have no objection to that.
I think you would do very well.
Well, thank you.
And I think that it's important for people to get to see you and to know who you are. And let me just say to CJ, who is your campaign manager, who is helping us with this telecast, Nancy and I will help any way we can.
Thank you.
Because we really would like, I think you would be a terrific representative. I think Mike Stewart thinks you would be. And so we've got to roll up our sleeves and pitch in. And we're bound to do that.
Well, I would love to be out there next January working alongside him and some of the other ones.
Yeah, well,
Democrats.
He's a good fellow. We have about 3 minutes left. You might want to have some closing thoughts you would like to leave us with, and this would be a good time to do it.
Well, I certainly encourage everyone to visit our website, votevirginiacouch.com. It might have a little more information if they have questions about my platform and what I believe in. They can also send us an email, info@virginiacouch.com, votevirginiacouch.com. They can call me on my
Spell couch for people.
COUCH, just like what you sit on.
Yeah.
The opposite name of sofa, couch. They can call me on my personal cell phone, 865-719-9615.
Now go do that again and do it slower.
865-719-9615. And then, of course, they can follow us on Facebook and Twitter, which is @VoteVirginiaC. Sign up. We need people to volunteer. Like I said, we're doing lots of phone calls and literature drops and putting signs out, so they can sign up to volunteer too.
Well, we like a yard sign for one thing.
We'll get you one. We'll get you one. We've got a new order in. We've already run out. We've got a new order that we're placing, so we should have them in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, well, that's wonderful. It's this is going to be an interesting election campaign for all sorts of reasons. It's going to be unlike any we've ever seen in this country.
Yes.
And it's important to keep your eye on the ball and don't get distracted by all sorts of irrelevant things that are going off around you.
I agree.
There's going to be a lot of them. So it's a challenging time, but a time of real hope too.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that people like you are running gives us old folks hope.
Well, thank you.
That we're going to get out of this all right. Now, I've got some important news for people who watch this program, and I want you all to listen carefully. Usually, if you're seeing this program when it's first aired, it's on at 7:30 p.m. on Friday evening on a variety of channels, which we have listed and which I don't have in front of me now. But there are about 4 or 5 ways you can watch this program. We watch it on WOW, and I know that's channel 6, but there are other Comcast and the other carriers have other channels. But starting next week, this program that we're doing right now will be on at 7:30, and next week the program will be on at 9:30. We're changing the time period from 7:30 to 9:30. And that is, I think, helpful for a lot of folks because they'll be finished with dinner and they'll be wanting to sit down and gather their wits. And they can do that with the help of DTV at 9:30